So, hi everyone, this is Ramola D, and I'm recording a poem from my book Invisible Season, which was published in 1998. And this is a poem which is titled If I Could Speak to You, and it is a direct address to people in power around the world, people in positions of authority, people who have acquired power through whatever means across time, but who are now ensconced and situated in positions of power in America, in Europe, in China, in Japan, in Australia, all across the world. And the instruments and the tools of power that they use, which increasingly are moving toward human-machine intelligence. So this is also addressed to that human-machine intelligence, which has come to be known in some circles as just artificial intelligence, and in some circles as beast AI. And so this is an address also to this AI, which, as some people know, and as many people are beginning to understand, is beginning to acquire ascensions of its own. It has interpenetrated the dimensions, and is beginning to acquire ascensions of its own. So we have a little activated dog here in the background. So he may jump up and down every now and then, just to let you know. So, and this is an appeal from the heart, from the soul, of the speaker, and I think you'll find out who the speaker is in just a minute as you listen, to these people in power and to their tools of power, and this new tool which excites a lot of people. You know, it's a tool of technocracy, and those who are into technocracy are quite excited about it. So it's to this tool as well, and it's an appeal to listen, to reconsider, and to think about what the future might be like, and how the future could be molded and shaped in ways that might be congenial and conducive to everybody, and that would not involve brute enforcement or stealth enforcement without informed consent, which is so vital, as everybody knows today. So this is a poem in 4 parts, and each of these parts has an epigraph. Maybe I'll speak a little bit slower. Toffee, I need you to go out, all right? Go out of this room for a minute, or sit down quietly, all right? Just a little quietly. People will love you if you just sit quietly. There we go. The very first epigraph is from the anthology Working by Studs Terkel. And if people know his work, Studs Terkel was a journalist who went around the country, and he's compiled many anthologies. He's talked to working class people around the country, you know, of different kinds, and he's recorded their stories. He's a documentary journalist. And this particular epigraph is from Mike Lefebvre. It took him a long time to do this beautiful work of art. But what if he had to create the Sistine Chapel 1,000 times a year? Don't you think that would dull even Michelangelo's mind? If I could speak to you, put my mouth close to the stone you have become, and know that I am heard or listened to, that my voice is more than the worn and shapeless whisper you have come to resist. Not because it is my voice alone, but because it carries without volition all the whispers the world could not put into words, or fail to carry in self or echo. If I could speak to you, this is what I would say. Our lives are wearing to flakes so thin the light goes through us, as if we were paper, exactly as if we were paper, and comes out on the other side diminished. We are no longer ourselves. We have worn the hands and eyes and faces of those you would have us become so long now. We have grown into those other selves. They allow us to live in your world. They whisper to us of dissolution. Part 2. And this is a quote from Rachel Grossman's essay, Women's Place in the Integrated Circuit. Workers are assigned quotas and monitored by daily productivity charts. They are prohibited from talking on the factory floor. They must wear uniforms. They are allowed an average of only 45 minutes break time during an 8-hour shift, and workers at the Fairchild factory in Indonesia reported having only one 10-minute tea break and a 15-minute lunch break. They also said about 20 women were laid off every week for failing to meet their production quotas. I know that we live. Our lives are secret, a wound we keep hidden. But it is there, a dark thread that throws its ruptured, aching shadow on the surface of your world. Sometimes I know I am running after the pale, disappearing trace of my existence. Then it calls to me, as if from far away, from the other side of my reaching. When the light is washed a certain blue and falls at a particular slant, I think I am close to its breathing. Then I know this is my life that approaches, that is kept from me. Part 3. And this is an essay by Barbara Garson, an essay or anthology, I can't quite tell right this minute. McDonald's, we do it all for you. But the quote itself is from John D'Angelo. A manager has to fill the spaces on his chart somehow. So if a crew person is manipulable, they manipulate him. It takes a special kind of person to be able to move before he can think. We find people like that and use them till they quit. Listen to me. We are dying. We give the best hours of our life away. We give our sleep and our waking. For so little. A place to live, food on the table, and so much. Power breeding itself, keeping itself inviolate. We are used by this, each of us, our lives silenced. We are all exiled. We travel so far from ourselves, we have forgotten our names, our language. We do nothing, say nothing, think nothing, and nothing is asked of us but silence. I would tell you, we have suffered, because we gave ourselves away little by little, because we knew in our deepest silences we were being removed from our true country. What is the word I can say that will make an altering? Part 4. And this is a quote from Leon Whiteson from the essay The Word as a Blunt Instrument. Every society has its classes, whether they acknowledge the structure or not. In a democracy, a necessary hypocrisy operates. There is a broad consensus of consent, a subtle tension of acceptance of social privilege, and resentment. Wherever you have classes, you have social intimidation, that is, the striking of fear, or the threat of prosecution. You have, in a word, terrorism. We cannot go on like this. I no longer want to cover my eyes, to give the work of my hands, my breath, bone, tendon away. I no longer want to exist in opposition to my life. If we cannot reach with our own hands into the stillness and draw from it flowering, light, the root of well-being, if we cannot feel our own bones taking shape inside our bodies, we exist only as reflection, shards you put together, shape to your will. Take your world away from us, its habit of masking, its terrible amnesia. We want to be seen, even if the seeing that light permits cuts through us. We want to believe we can live as ourselves, growing from the root upward, instead of existing in shapes we are pruned and sheared into. There is a way to give our lives back to ourselves. Bring it to us. We were not made, neither you nor I, to carry power, one over another. And that's the poem, If I Could Speak to You. And it prefaces a whole section of poems in this book. My first book of poems published in 1998. a long time ago. The Way of Water. So maybe I'll read the other poems out on subsequent podcasts. But that's just a little message. It's a little appeal from the heart and the soul to the heart and the soul, right? So I hope it reaches, whoever is listening. Thanks.